Hello everyone, Kaiser here, and welcome to a new series that I've been wanting to do called Stop Motion Views, where I look at stop motions ranging from simple projects to full-fledged series. Now, if there's one thing that I like to watch on YouTube, it's stop motions. I really do enjoy them, mostly when they consist of action figures. And another thing that kind of drove me to do this series is that you can watch like a lot of review shows on almost anything on YouTube. You can watch reviews on cartoons, movies, anime, video games, even action figures. But if there's one type of stop motion that, if there's one type of review that I haven't seen, at least a lot of, it would be stop motions. So that's why I brought it upon myself to do this series. And today I am doing this episode based off one of my favorite stop motion channels, Counter656, and his, I would say, evolution on how he does Dragon Ball Z stop motion animations. Now, before we get started, I should say that this is a new series that, again, I've been wanting to do, and I hope I get better at, because as you know, I am not a full-fledged reviewer. I've only done a few things here and there, but this is something that I've been wanting to do, and I hope that you all enjoy it. And starting with this episode, I'll be looking at the old and new of Counter656 Dragon Ball stop motion animations. So without further ado, let's begin. Starting with the old, I'll be looking at two of his older videos, which is the Broly stop motion and the Frieza stop motion. Now, when it comes to stop motion, obviously animation is everything. And for some of his older videos and how he does it, while they do look good, you do notice a difference when you go back and look at the older videos and compare them to the new ones. Because with, say, this Broly stop motion, I'm not sure how to describe it, but you can see this certain type of, I want to say, how would I describe this? I would say there's this type of stiffness. Not saying that they don't look good, but they don't look as smooth as some of his newer works. And even comparing his newer works to the old ones, I can see that there's the same type of animation in some of his newer videos. Again, I'm not saying that it looks bad, but it is something you notice. Because again, along with some of his older videos, comparing them to the new ones, the new ones do look a lot smoother. But I'd still have to say that this is probably one of my favorite Dragon Ball stop motions that he's done. Mostly because of how Goku and Vegeta take on Broly. Like, even though I wouldn't say this is based off the movie, it is still really cool to see as Broly just beats them to a pulp like he did in the actual movie. And another thing that I do like about some of his older videos is how he uses the effects. Like with this whole mouth animation thing, if you could see that when Goku starts using his Kamehameha. I do like how in his older videos he does like try to add a lot more facial expressions with all the animation he does, like getting Broly to smirk and getting characters to actually talk somewhat. I really do like that. So yeah, and another thing I do like about these is just kind of how true they stay to the anime. Because again, with stop motion, everything is animation is everything, and you can see that even if the characters don't move their mouths, they still do have like a lot of character to them. So moving on to the Frieza fight, another one that I really liked. Again, you can see that the animation is still pretty good. And another thing I like is that if you look at Frieza's tail, once he's actually in frame, you can see that it's not actually the official tail. It's actually made out of clay, and I do like that. Mostly because it does allow him to get a little more creative with how Frieza uses his tail, like, again, he does in the anime. Like hitting people with it, and even strangling people with it. Because on the official figure, you probably couldn't do that with the actual tail. But again, I still do like this. And comparing this to the Broly stop motion, I would say this one's a little more faithful to the anime. Like, I'm not saying that you need to recreate a fight perfectly, because It's not really necessary if you're just making a stop motion based off something. But that doesn't mean that it's not good because it's not based fully on this one fight, even though it's one of the greatest fights ever. But I do like it. I don't really know where to go here. But yeah, that's all I really have to say about these two fights. They're pretty good for what they want to do, and I can't really say that these have aged badly. They're actually pretty good, especially with that scene you just witnessed there, Krillin blowing up. And even previously, Frieza's tail squirming as it was cut off. Also, this scene right here is really good. Like, even though it's older, I still really like how it looks. And that's kind of why I like his older videos in general. You can just see how much effort he put into them. And even though the newer ones do have probably a lot more, you can still see a lot of effort with them, and that's why I enjoyed them. Moving on to some of his newer animations, starting with Goku versus Beerus, hopefully you can see what I mean when I say that the animation is a lot more smooth here. Or, see, like here, you can see that there's a lot more, I would say, frames put into the animation, so it can look a lot smoother. Because again, like with the older videos, you can see that there's still that bit of like frame skip, I'm gonna call it. I should mention that I'm not a professional at stop motion, so I don't know everything about it. But I do know how smooth an animation can look, and this is definitely one of them. Another thing I like about this animation is how it's sponsored, really, since the entire arena around where Goku and Beerus are fighting is just sponsored by G Fuel. I should probably mention that this video will not be sponsored by G Fuel, just saying, but still. So yeah, I do really like how he pays attention to how Goku and Beerus usually fight. Like, at the beginning, Goku will go all out and Beerus will not really be putting much effort into it, but as you can see here, Beerus is actually really getting into the fighting, and I like that. It's kind of how it happens in the show, or at least in the movie, when Goku and Beerus fight, and I do like that. Another thing is that, again, with the animation or the special effects, I really do like how they look, especially how much more effort there is to them. Another thing I probably should have mentioned is how characters use their moves in the stop motions, with like when they teleport and when they do their super moves. Another thing about G Fuel right here is that this, I don't know why, but this is just funny to me, how Goku gets powered up by G Fuel. It's pretty funny. Anyway, I do like how he does use them very properly, and how good they look as he keeps getting better at it, especially with how Goku uses his Kamehamehas. If you see that throughout his animations, like as you see here, it actually does look pretty good. And moving on to the other stop motion, it just says Dragon Ball Z stop motion as the title, but doesn't really matter. And as you can see, this is also sponsored by G Fuel. And another thing I like is how he used different action figures for this stop motion, because this isn't actually SH Figure Arts like it's been for the past 3 videos. It's actually Figure Rise, which is actually a Dragon Ball Z model kit series. I actually do like that series a lot. I do have the Krillin, and I really enjoy him. Anyway, one thing about this series, well, this stop motion, is how, like in the previous one where Goku somewhat got powered by G Fuel, you can see that he gets powered up by it and turns Super Saiyan based off the fact that he ate some of it. And again, I like that. It's just, I don't know why, but it just seems a little funny for me. And as you can see here, this is probably one of the most action-packed stop motions for Dragon Ball Z he's done. Mostly with how fast everything is going and how Goku and Vegeta fight like they always do, but for some reason, whenever he does it in a stop motion whenever these two are fighting, it always looks like so good, and probably better than some of the older fights from Dragon Ball Z. But yeah, that's all I can really say here. I really do like how this one looks. Like I said, I'm not a pro at reviewing stuff, but that doesn't mean I can't share what I like about this. And as you can see here, Goku's eating another G Fuel. Again, this is just funny for me. But that's all I can really say. So let's move on to the last stop motion there is, which is, well, not the last stop motion, but probably the one that I like the best. So we've seen his stop motions based off Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super. Now time to go back to the one that started it all, which is Dragon Ball. One weird thing that I've noticed about this Dragon Ball animation is how, despite being the oldest out of the whole franchise, it's actually based off the newer stop motions he does. But that's fine by me because it does look really good. And if there's one thing I absolutely love about this stop motion, is how not only is it faithful to how the anime actually went about making this fight, but how he does his best to try to recreate the animation style that Dragon Ball had. As you can see here, it is really faithful with the whole stilted look that Dragon Ball originally had, with a lot of the freeze frames and not as much fighting as you would see in something like Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Super. But even though it's based off that older series, and you can see that in how it's animated here, it still looks really good. Because there is a little bit more action than in the original, and I would say that makes this fight a lot better. Because if you didn't know this, I actually did watch the original series and I saw this fight. And even though I like that fight, I would say that I probably prefer this version. It's not even official. And that's all I really have to say about this one too. I just really like how he went about creating that original anime style that it had while still making it an action-packed, and probably one of his best Dragon Ball stop motions to date. That's all I really have to say about this one. It's just really freaking good. So that was the first episode of my new series. And again, I should reiterate, even though I've said it probably a dozen times, I'm not a professional at reviewing, but that doesn't mean I can't start somewhere. If I could take a quote from another YouTuber that I really like, Paper Patriot, he said to start with what you have. You don't have to have all the tools in order to make your videos. You just need to start with what you got and build up from there. And honestly, I can see why you would do that, because honestly, that's something that I've done since I even started making action figures. I'm gonna go a little bit off track here, but when I started making action figures, I didn't use any paint really. I used Sharpie and whiteout. Yes, really. But that was because that's all I had at the time, and because again, I didn't have action figures that I really wanted, so I decided to make them. And ever since then, I've built off of that, and my customs have become a little better. And that's what I hope to do with this new series. I hope that it can become a lot better as it goes on, because stop motions are something I really like, and I haven't seen a lot of reviews for them. I know it seems kind of silly, but this is something I really want to see grow. So I hope this new series is something that all of you enjoy. And another thing I should say is that sorry that I've been off track. It's just a lot of moving and getting stuff together. But that's beside the point. I'll get back to custom action figures when everything's set up. But for now, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time. I hope you enjoyed.